Perfect family, a wife, an active sex life, and 3 wonderful children. But one day he told his unsuspecting wife the truth, that he had unsuppressible feelings towards men as well. John Dias married and had a child, hoping that a family would cure his homosexual feelings. But the day before Valentine's Day, he came out to his wife. John left home the next day. Joe Conti thought marriage and a family would make him socially acceptable. But the day before his 6th anniversary, Joe revealed his gay feelings to his wife. What should you do when your spouse admits to bisexuality? And at that point, can your marriage be saved? How do you tell your children, your family, and your friends? I'm Tom Bergeron, and this is People Are Talking. Welcome to the show. Good to have you here this afternoon, and gentlemen, good to have you here as well. This is some of these questions I'll just offer up, and you can each take a stab at them. When you got married, each of you, did you have sexual feelings and longings for your wife at that point, or were each of you getting married, hoping that maybe they would develop in the course of the marriage?
Speaking for myself, I did have sexual feelings towards my wife. But at the same time, I still had sexual feelings for men at that time. Mm-hmm. And I was hoping through marriage that my feelings for men would dissipate and go away. Because it's obviously much easier to lead a straight lifestyle than it would be to lead a gay lifestyle. And I hope my wife could get me through that.
Mm-hmm. John?
Well, I did not have sexual feelings toward women when I got married. I had never been to bed with a woman before I got married, so the honeymoon was very scary. Mm-hmm. But I really wanted to get out of the house. I mean, and so I did. I did what was expected of me at a certain age and got married.
Now, what did your wife must have sensed that there was no physical attraction there?
I mean, I thought she was attractive, mm-hmm. but...
no longing?
There was no fire in that relationship. I mean, I never wanted her in a physical way. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Long into the marriage, I mean, it never happened.
Have you ever... Because my sense of a bisexual person is one who would have longings of equal or near degree for members of both sexes. And while that seems to have been more true for you, it seems not to have been as true for you.
Well, the thing was, there's a certain amount that can be said for being in a marriage. I mean, there's a contractual bond that's legal. The emotional support you get from your family, your friends is all there. It's very strong. It's positive. You don't get that if you leave the marriage and you come out as being bisexual or gay. You lose that. You lose the support. Very often you lose your family. So there's more of an emotional struggle about whether or not you want to stay with that emotional security of family, or if you want to really be yourself in a physical way and leave that.
Mm-hmm. Joe, what about you?
Well, when I first got married, I loved my wife very much. We still have a very good relationship from what I can see right now.
Is it a friendship more than
It's
anything?
more of a friendship now. I love her, but it's in a different way now. Mm-hmm. It's not as much of an emotional love, but in fact, I chased her when we first got married. I chased her to the point of marriage, and...
But were you chasing her to escape feelings of gay desire, or were you chasing her because you wanted her?
Well, I had very few experiences when I was a teenager, and then from when you're very small, you always hear, wait till you get married, wait till you have children of your own.
It'll fix everything.
And everything from when you're very small is, it's socially acceptable to be married, to have children. So you do, and you grow up and do what this social thing is to do, is you get married and you have children. I had, as I said, had very few experiences in the gay community. And during the 6 years before I told my wife, I had no experience in the gay community at all. I had devoted myself to my wife and to my two children, and everything was fine until everything started to resurface within inside of me.
Now, how did you each tell your respective wives about these reawakening gay feelings?
She knew something was wrong. After about 3-4 years of marriage, I had withdrawn from her, and she didn't know what the reason was. So I had come to the decision I was going to tell her that one particular night. And we sat down, and it just blurted out, I feel I have gay tendencies, and that's who I think I am. And we spent almost all evening crying, holding on to each other, and making decisions on what we wanted to do. At that point, we already had 2 children.
What are their ages?
Now they're 18, 15, and 14, 3 daughters. And at that time, I liked the family unit, and it was very important for me.
Did your wife ever feel, and this, again, these questions are for everybody, that you used me to try to be acceptable in society? You toyed with my emotions. You made me your shield against.
In later years, my wife did. At the beginning, no. She was sort of relieved because she wasn't sure if it was her fault that I had withdrawn, or or with me. She just didn't know the reason. She thought it was another woman. And once she found out, we talked about it. We went into therapy for a while, and we just wanted to stay together. I felt much more at ease in the straight society at that point in my life. And it was important for me to be with the kids and to have that relationship as a family unit.
John, how did it develop for you when you finally talked about it?
Well, my daughter's birthday happened, her first birthday. She turned 1. And I had always felt like there was a lot of sexual suppression within my family growing up, and that it raised havoc with me as a person growing up and not really knowing what was going on or what was normal, what was not normal, how to love yourself for what you are. All that was suppressed because it was just, you were supposed to know that, I guess, by instinct.
When you say love yourself for what do you regard yourself as primarily gay, as solely gay, or as bisexual?
Solely gay.
Solely gay, and does that apply for all 3 of you? Despite, do you never have longings for the opposite sex at this point?
Not at all.
But might they resurface in the way that your longings for your same-sex partner?
I don't think so, because you have to dig down inside of yourself and to accept yourself for who you are. I feel that once you've accepted yourself, your identity, and what your feelings are and where they're leading, then everything goes that way. And that wasn't happening for a long time for me. I had never really accepted myself for who I was. And it's taken me some time, but I finally have, arrived at a point where I'm happy with me. I know who I am now. And I'm pleased with me.
How about your family, your friends? How pleased were they?
My family knows. My parents know. Now more people know. But my wife, at the onset, when I told her, as you know, it was the day before my 6th wedding anniversary.
The timing,
which was not
John,
really good.
Day before Valentine's Day.
Yeah. But it didn't matter. I mean, there was no good time to bring this up. I mean, I did love my wife. I wasn't in love with her, but I loved her. I was good friends with her. I mean, we had a child together. She's an important person in my life still.
Do the kids know? All of you have children.
My 3 know.
No.
Yeah.
My daughter knows as much as she can.
How old is she?
She'll be 6 this month.
And
my
Joe
children, not? No, my children are 5 and 3.
Each of your daughters has responded, Alan, quite differently. Have they not?
The oldest and the youngest. I told them about 4 years ago. We sat down, had an open talk, and they could ask any questions they wanted. And they were concerned how it was going to affect them. And I told them it wasn't going to affect them. My sexuality has nothing to do with my role as a parent. And they've accepted it really well, my oldest and youngest. My middle one is very close to my wife, and she feels somewhat sort of protective of my wife, so she has a little bit more trouble dealing with it.
Are you all divorced or separated? What's the status of your marriages?
I am divorced.
Divorced, yeah.
I'm separated for life.
And I'm separated.
How are they doing? How are your wives or former wife doing?
My wife is doing very well. I mean, her job situation has gotten better since I've left. I think she's become more independent. She always was very independent anyway. Our friendship has gotten better because we've had to trust each other on a different level. There's no make-believe going on any longer. We interact as responsible parents and as friends. I mean, so I think I haven't had any backlash from her as far as being honest with her about what was going on with me.
Do you think, let's get the answer to that. There's so many questions I have. Joe, go ahead, as far as how she's doing.
My wife is doing pretty well. She's dealing with it as best she can. I mean, it's very hard for somebody after being married for 6 years, it would be 9 years if I was still there, to accept something like this. But she's dealing with it the best she can for something that she doesn't really understand. We have what I can consider a good basis for a good friendship and a relationship on that part of it. But she does as well as she can with it.
I think it was in your case that your wife burst forth quite angrily At a birthday party, was it?
It was my middle one's first birthday, and all the family and friends were over the house. And we had separated at that point, and I had gone to the house for a birthday party, and the aunts, uncles, grandparents, everybody was there. There must have been about 60, 70 people at the house, and everybody had been asking me or questioning my wife why we had separated, and they all were blaming her. So she reached a point she couldn't deal with it anymore, so she got up in the middle of the party and said the reason he left is because he's gay, and announced it to everybody, so I technically had a coming out party. Which, for that day, if I could have crawled into the rug or the woodwork, I would have gone away. But looking back now, it was great because I didn't have to go through all these confessionals with individual friends, little coming out stories. And it made it much easier.
John, one thing that I read about your mom, who first was a bit shocked, but now does what?
My mother is, I mean, she's very okay with it. It's taken her a while. I mean, she tells me she still prays every night, you know, she has all these statues on her bureau that, you know, someday she's going to wake up and I'm going to be straight. And I know her prayers are lost on that level, but, I mean, she deals with it as well as she can. She interferes a lot. She's gotten to the point where now she tries to match me up with my friends. If I get into a relationship with somebody that she doesn't like, she's your typical mother. She'll jump right in there and she'll try to confuse it. And
your quote was, "Mom fixes me up with all the wrong men now."
Yeah, she does. Yeah. Although I haven't done such a great job myself.
But before we go to break, just quickly, do you think that bisexuality for most people is a convenient excuse for not accepting that you're really gay?
I think the emotional part of that is so strong. That supportive family structure is so strong. It's very, very painful to leave that. I don't know anybody who thinks through sex organs. So when you're going through that process, you have to really deal with a lot of emotional baggage that you were raised with. And in my case, I mean, I was not comfortable at all breaking out of my marriage. I didn't know about gay life, gay relationships, or anything.
But in direct answer to my question, do you think that there are people who are bisexual, or there are just people who haven't admitted they're gay yet?
I think there are very few bisexuals.
True bisexuals. Okay. I think it's more of a mindset.
All right. Well, we're going to talk when we come back. Among our guests will be a bisexual woman and her 14-year-old son right after this.
A lot of people do. You cannot get AIDS from riding the subway, from hugging, or from working with an infected individual. The virus has to be spread into your bloodstream. This can be done through sex or by sharing IV drug needles. Furthermore, you can protect yourself during sex with the use of a condom if it is used properly. Decisions you make can protect you. The choice is yours.
Welcome back to the show. We're talking about bisexual marital relationships and also bisexual relationships as we broaden the discussion. Joining us on the panel, Frances Giambroni, who is a psychotherapist and social worker who specializes in counseling gay and bisexual men and women and their families. And in the audience with me, a mother and son whom we are calling Anne and Robert for the purpose of our discussion. Anne, you've been married for how long?
16 years.
16 years.
Yes.
And you are and fully believe you are bisexual. You're not a gay person who isn't admitting to it.
No. I really believe I am bisexual, and I know a lot of other women and men which would identify themselves as being bisexual. And it's a matter of having the capacity to relate emotionally and or physically with men and women. It doesn't have to be at the same time, but it's just the capacity. And that's why people identify themselves as bisexual.
Are you, and forgive my naivete, but are you equally attracted to men and women, or is there...
Yes, I am.
You are?
I am. It doesn't mean that, for instance, as a man, I'm attracted to my husband. I will be in the state, I will see a man that I like.
Well, how does your husband feel about your bisexuality?
Well, I told him before I got married about my feelings towards women, even if I didn't have before an actual experience. But we didn't talk about it for a long time. During the last 2 years, we've been dealing with it. And is in the beginning was a little threatened. You don't know how it will affect his life.
Let me ask Robert. Robert, you're 14 years old. Before your mom told you of her sexual preferences, did you suspect, were you aware on any level?
Not really, but, you know, it just had a feeling, sort of a hunch.
Why?
I don't know. Really don't know. It's just one of those gut feelings.
How do you feel about it yourself?
Well, it doesn't, I don't feel threatened by it at all. And I really, it doesn't matter to me. As long as my mother's happy, it doesn't matter which way she chooses to live.
Why do you think other people do feel threatened by it?
Because they're skeptic, I guess, and they're scared. It's like you're scared, you push away from it.
Do your friends know?
No, not really.
No. Okay. Francis, you counsel people, but you also were in a marital relationship and had to deal with your own bisexuality.
Right.
How do you regard yourself now? As still bisexual as Ann does, or as gay as our other three guests do?
I relate to myself as a gay man.
And yet you said you had great sex with your wife.
Right. Well, you see, orientation is a matter of what I say it is, or what anyone says it is. But I have the capacity to have sex with women. I'm making the choice not to at this time in my life. At other times in my life, I've had, besides my marriage, I've had relationships with women. And in the future I might, but right now, it's a preference that I'm identifying more as gay.
So I guess, why can't you identify as being bisexual? I mean, what's the stigma there?
There is no stigma. Well, that's not true. There's no stigma for me. It just feels, identifying myself as a gay man right now feels more true to where I am right now in my life. But in terms of society, there is a stigma to being bisexual. Bisexuality is very threatening in our society. It's threatening to the gay community because it forces the gay community to have to look at their own sexuality, and they've struggled so long to maintain a sense of who they are. And it's threatening to the straight community because it's the homosexual piece of the bisexuality that's the threatening
It's the sexual equivalent of being an agnostic, apparently. It sounds like, you know, maybe there is a God, maybe there isn't a God, I'm not sure. Okay, over here, hold on.
I wouldn't say that bisexuality is the sexual equivalent of agnosticism, because with agnosticism there's a certain element of the unknown. And for bisexuals, or for a lot of bisexuals, it's very clear to them where they are. They've made a conscious decision, and they know that they would engage in intimate relationships or close relationships with either men or women. There's not that sense of having no clarity about it. It's a very strong and firm place to
The sense I got from my first three guests, and please respond to this, was that you were pretty sure that you were gay going into your marriage, but that the marriage you were hoping would be the salvation from your gayness.
Well, the three men up here are not bisexuals. They've had bisexual experiences in the sense that they both had, the three of them have had experiences with men and women. But they're not, their erotic preferences, clearly from what they say, is men.
Okay, all right. And whereas yours, you would say, could shift back.
It shifts, yeah.
To over here.
And sexuality, we know, is a continuum anyway. It doesn't stay in one place.
Okay.
Thanks, Tom. You know, I respected what Ann said. I mean, at least she was honest. She was upfront with her husband when she got married, okay? I'm a little disturbed about these three guys up here because I think they sort of messed up their wives' lives. They weren't honest with them. I don't think that they realized what they were getting into. And, I mean, you know, if I were one of your kids, I mean, I think I'd be a little upset with you that you weren't upfront at the beginning. And, you know, I think I might resent you for that, you know, that you bring that into your home where your wife sleeps, where your children play with their toys.
Didn't your wives go through a period, maybe a year, maybe two, maybe more, where they thought there was something wrong with them?
Well, I'd like to respond to that. My marriage, I mean, when I got involved with my wife, I was as honest with her as I was with myself. That's why there was no resentment there. That's why we still respect each other and care about each other. As far as my daughter goes, I mean, she is living in a house full of honesty and being very real with each other. I think really strong remarks, one way or another, of telling people how they should have been is a way to close doors in life again and to become just as narrow as my family had been about the subject growing up.
Also, the anger you're directing, it shouldn't be directed at these men. It should be directed at society that forces these men to make the kind of decisions they have to make. Because if they were allowed, if a person, when they're becoming sexual, if all of us, when we're becoming sexual, were allowed to explore our sexuality in a healthy and normal way, that is, be attracted to men or women, date boys, date girls, we would have options when we got to be 19 and 20. We wouldn't have to hide who we were in order to be accepted by the general society or the general culture.
Society believes that marriage is supposed to be a lifelong commitment.
That's right.
When they enter that marriage contract, it was supposed to be for their entire lives, okay? And then somewhere down the road, the wife finds out that they might be gay. I mean, you got to lay that on the table. They were just being very dishonest.
But what John was saying, he was being as honest with her as he was being with himself. He wasn't completely sure himself at that point.
I can definitely appreciate that.
Yeah.
But I mean now they're saying, okay, I mean he's divorced. The other two, their wives are separated. I mean, what's supposed to become of them now? Can't they enjoy a normal family life?
A divorce would apparently be in the cards here.
In my case, my wife, that's her choice. She right now she does not want to be divorced. She likes me because I'm still part of their life. In any aspect, that's the way it's her choice. Because we've discussed that, and that's what she wants.
I have a great deal of respect for these men. I think they've got a lot of courage to make the decision they have and to be true to themselves instead of living in a relationship, in a marriage that isn't true for them. And I have a lot of respect for them to have the courage to get out of it.
I guess, and I at the risk of putting words in your mouth, your concern is more if you know you're gay going in, but you think maybe this will save it, maybe this will change things, and you don't tell your spouse.
I think that's a little jealous.
That's yeah. Okay, let's go to the phones. Hi, you're on People Are Talking.
Hi, my name is Dorian, and I'm really glad you're having this show. I'm a bisexual. I've been bisexual my whole life. I'm married. I have 2 small children, and I find myself that the biggest problem for me is I find a lot of bigotry. I find a lot of distrust in the homosexual community and in the straight community towards bisexuals. Like one of your panel already said, there's probably very few of us. We don't know what we want. That's not true. We know what we want. And B, if we have a lover of either sex, that person is afraid that we are going to go over to the other side. So, here we live in limbo.
Isn't that a fear that's in any relationship, that you're going to find someone cuter, someone funnier, someone nicer? You don't have to be worried about a gay lover in that regard.
I think what happens a lot is, if I were in a gay relationship, let's say if I'm with a lesbian lover, and that person will say, sure, I might be able to defend my relationship against another woman, but not against a man. And the men feel the same way. The only person I have ever found that has ever supported me is my husband. He is the only one. And I'll tell you, coming out gay was a lot easier than coming out bisexual, because nobody wants to know you.
Are you monogamous in your marital relationship?
Monogamous as far as he's the only man in my life. As far as women, I wish I had a lover, but when I meet women and they find out that I am bisexual and I'm married, the eyes roll back and they walk away.
Why? I know we have to go to break, but why are the rules different for you because you are bisexual and for a monogamous relationship of heterosexual?
I don't understand your question.
Well, you say I'm monogamous as far as men are concerned.
Yeah.
I mean, why isn't it just a matter of being monogamous as far as people are concerned, and that's the nature of the relationship?
Okay, I understand, but the thing with me is that I really have an attraction for women.
So wait a minute. A lot of married men look at other women and say, "Wah-ba-boom," and
yes,
women.
Yes, I understand that. But the thing is that I cannot, even as wonderful as my husband is, he understands that he cannot fulfill the needs that I have for another woman, and he accepts that.
All right, I think this is sounding like cop-out to me. Let's look at it a bit more when we come back.
Anything goes in Aussie football, Wednesday at 7:30.
All right, we are back. We are back. Joining us on Dorian, you still on the phone with us?
Yes, I still am.
Okay, hang on there. And joining us on the panel, Robin Oakes and Woody Glenn, who are both bisexuals. You can applaud for them, sure. Now, when we left, I have to admit, I don't buy some of this. And here's what I don't buy. If you are in a heterosexual marriage and you regard your partner as not being able to fully sexually satisfy you, that does not give you the license to go outside the marriage to get it on with somebody else. Why are the rules different if that sexual lacking is from someone of the same sex?
I think you're phrasing it wrong, Tom. I mean, it's not a question of rules or license. It's a question of two people come together under a contract. And in one case here, it's a marriage is formed where the wife thinks she's in a heterosexual contract. Mm-hmm. So in a sense, you're right, she's being deceived. There's a lot of reasons why that happens. But when she finds out she isn't, then they have to negotiate something. She has a right to be in a heterosexual relationship if that's what she wants. Mm-hmm. However, a husband who's come to terms with his own bisexuality or homosexuality also has to decide what he wants to do, and they have to create something out of that.
Mm-hmm. So, Dorian, your husband is amenable to this?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. He has always known, right from the very beginning. In fact, when I first met him, I thought he was gay, so I was very open about my own sexuality. Come to find out he's not at all, but he was just, understanding right from the very beginning.
Okay. All right. Who wanted to respond to this over here? Go ahead.
Everyone's talking about respect and how much they admire the bisexual community coming out. I think there's certainly nothing to respect in that aspect. I mean, what are we talking about here, in my opinion, in this day and age, is one of the most dangerous things heterosexuals have to worry about. Bisexual males or females sleeping with homosexuals and then going out and sleeping with other women, and then that is putting the heterosexual community at that much more of a risk. I find it nothing to applaud about them. I'd rather, if you're going to get in a relationship, and stay with a homosexual and don't give me the risk, a heterosexual man, of contracting some kind of disease through it.
Robin, I'll give you a chance to respond.
Well, thank you. First of all, there is a myth right there about AIDS and who has AIDS. Lesbians are the lowest of all risk groups.
But if they're bisexual, then that gives them a chance to get AIDS.
Only from heterosexual men.
I'm not worried about I'm not worried about lesbians, so to speak. I'm worried about bisexual men sleeping with heterosexual women and them going out and sleeping with the heterosexual.
You said bisexual men or women.
Well, okay,
so that's the first clarification.
I'm obviously more concerned with bisexual
okay, that's
men.
the first clarification. The second is that it's not, first of all being bisexual doesn't put you in a high-risk group by definition, and being bisexual does not mean that you're non-monogamous by definition. People enter into relationships and they choose what kind of relationship they want. A lot of bisexual people are in monogamous relationships. Some bisexual people feel that for them it's not comfortable for them to be in a monogamous relationship, and they'll choose to have an open relationship. So the terms, Francis, a lot of heterosexual people have open relationships too.
When you counsel people who are coming to terms with their bisexuality in a marital situation, what options are usually there for them?
Okay, before I say, I just want to say something about the AIDS issue.
Sure.
The bisexual who goes out there and safely has sex with 5 other people is in a lower risk than the heterosexual who goes out there and has unsafe sex. It's a matter of how you're having sex, not whether you're gay or bisexual. It's whether you're having safe sex or not that determines what you're going to.
Did you want to respond to that too before we
Yeah, I think a
move
lot
on?
of people assume that because you're bisexual, you're going to be in more than one relationship and that you're not going to be monogamous. There are many people that choose a monogamous lifestyle and want to acknowledge both sides of themselves. And I think it's really important to remember that.
Woody?
Important point, diversity. Our bisexual community is as diverse as any other community, be it gay or straight. And likewise, in terms of choices in sensual or sexual relationships, this is also true.
Okay, I do want to find out about options that you present to married couples.
Well, I don't present options. I try to work with the couple in terms of who they are and what they need and what they want to do, and then we go from there. And there are a lot of options. There are many couples who stay together, who stay married, and continue having a sexual relationship with each other, with the husband not acting on the homosexual piece of his bisexuality. And there are people who choose options where the husband does go out and take a lover, and the wife agrees to this. And there are options where the wife and the husband create an open marriage. There's lots of different options. So what I try to do is work with people coming from the base of who they are and what their needs are, and what's going to make this work if they want it to work.
Robin, why is it, do you think? I mean, some people may not like the fact that there are gays, but it's the rare person who can discount them or say they don't exist. But with bisexuals, a lot of people say, you're not really there.
Well, up until recently, there was no bisexual community, there were no bisexual organizations. And it's very easy to say that a group doesn't exist if you don't if no one's standing up there and writing articles and speaking on television and speaking to their friends and their family, and it's very easy to say something doesn't exist if you've never seen it.
You were accused by a lesbian, I read, of saying you're bisexual so you could attend lesbian concerts.
Yeah, actually, in one day, it was kind of interesting. In one day, about 4 years ago, I read in a newspaper that all bisexuals are really heterosexuals who are afraid to come out, who want to exploit heterosexual privilege.
Heterosexual?
They want to be accepted by society, so that they are really lesbians, but they're afraid to admit it. And that same day, a friend said to me that all bisexuals are really lesbians. Are really heterosexuals who are trying to hang on to the privileges of being a lesbian.
So in other words, it's impossible that you can be longing for both male and female relationships, that you're just as we go back to that again.
That we're in
we
denial.
opened with, you're in a denial phase.
It really denies a lot of people's experience. And if you look at the Kinsey report, you talk to hundreds and hundreds of people, thousands of people throughout the country. When you read the research projects, there are a lot of bisexuals in the world. And historically, bisexuality has been around a long time.
And if it was socially accepted, there would probably be a lot more.
Yeah.
You theorize.
I think the strongest relationships are defined by the two people in them and not by roles that are set up by society. Whether it's two men or two women or a man and a woman, I think it's very important for two people to define what they want. And if that's in a marriage situation, that's fine. But the rules, they set by themselves. You responded to the caller who was saying that she was also wanted to be involved with women besides being involved with her husband. And if that's all right for the two people involved, I think that's fine.
Yeah, people assume, I think, that the bisexual lifestyle is less oppressive than a gay lifestyle.
Well,
And I
Woody
think that
Allen
it's
says
not-
that it doubles your chances for a date on Saturday night. Yeah.
Or lessens them, depending on who you're talking to.
Right.
So I just think it's important to remember that if you're faced with the same oppression when you come out as a bisexual as when you come out as homosexual or gay or lesbian.
There are differences, and I want to address this when we come back, in the male bisexual community and the female bisexual community in terms of their advocacy or political structure and that type of thing. And we'll talk more about that after this. Before we get into the whole area of differences between men and women bisexuals, Joe, you wanted to respond to this gentleman's comment.
Yes, I think one of the myths that we have to dispel with a lot of people is just because we're either gay or bisexual doesn't mean that everybody is promiscuous. I mean, we would all give our right arm to have a permanent relationship, monogamous relationship with one person. Unfortunately, it's very hard in any kind of situation, whether it be gay or a straight relationship. It's very difficult to find the person that is suitable for you. To address another question that came up earlier, I don't think that I really did anything that was so bad to my wife because I wasn't sure of myself before I got married. So therefore, I couldn't see where I used her or used her in any way for my own benefit. I entered the marriage because it was what is socially acceptable today. As I said before, it's what you hear from when you're little. Wait till you get married, wait till you have children of your own. And it's drummed into you since you're small.
How are your children, to go back to something we started to talk about earlier, how are they dealing to the degree that they know about your bisexuality in terms of how that might impact their own sexuality?
My children are very comfortable with it. The three of them are decidedly heterosexual. They did question it at first, and we talked through it, and we asked and went back and forth a lot, answering their questions. But they all date regularly, and they're having a good time.
Robert, the fact that your mother is bisexual, did you wonder, will I become bisexual or homosexual or heterosexual or?
Well, only for a very little while, but I've decided that I am heterosexual.
But can you make a conscious intellectual decision? That seems to be at the core of a lot of discussion. Is it a conscious decision, or is it just a feeling that you cannot consciously get rid of or
You can find a different answer from men and women on that one, I think.
Yeah. Well, who would the men go with their
I think the men
Kathy?
would say there is no choice.
There is no choice.
Yes, and women, politically, lots of women have come out as lesbians politically. but not necessarily erotically.
I see. Okay. Yeah. Oh, no, did you change your mind? Okay. All right. That's interesting. So there is more of a political... Do you think that's a reason, Robin, that you got so much political resistance to your bisexuality by some lesbians?
Well, first of all, I think that you can't choose your feelings, but you can choose your lifestyle. That's number one. I would also like to address the issue of whether or not bisexuals, true bisexuals, exist. I am one. And I'm also a monogamous person. And an interesting thing I read in the Globe last week was that 50% of all heterosexual men and 25% of all heterosexual women who are married have extramarital affairs by age 40. So the myth that all bisexuals are promiscuous and all heterosexuals are happily married is a myth.
That's like that goes back to the if it's a homosexual teacher, they'll probably molest your child, but those safe heterosexuals you never have to worry about.
Right, and 90-something% of all child abuse is committed by heterosexual men.
Exactly.
I mean,
Okay.
it's not. Maybe we should prohibit our children from being around heterosexual men. It's just as much of a myth. All heterosexual men are not abusers, and all bisexuals are not this or that.
Right. Let's go to the phones. Bring another viewer into the conversation. Hi, you're on People They're Talking.
Hi, I'm Dee. I'm 27, and I'm a product of a bisexual relationship. My mother, I found out when I was maybe 11 years old, was a lesbian. She had been married to my father for 2 years until I was about 2 or 3. And they got divorced. She remarried again, and that only lasted for like a year. And then she got into women totally. And it was a small town, so everyone knew except me. My point is, I have no problems with gay people. I have no problems at all. My problem that I have is you should be sure before you get married to someone of your own sexuality. If you cannot be sure of that, you don't need to bring a child into this world to have to deal with your problems as well as their problems. Because I tried to commit suicide at the age of 12. My average was an A all the way through school. It went from an A to an F. I was almost thrown out. How do you tell a child that you're making bad grades, stop it, do better, when you're not doing better yourself?
All right, a lot for our panel to address. Thank you. Go ahead.
Tom, unfortunately, I mean, the way things are handled or the way they're represented, when you're dealing out tough issues like who you are sexually, can really affect children. I mean, my average also went from A's and B's to F's in junior high school trying to deal with this. My family was not available for conversation on it. I mean, so I think it's very important to how you can communicate these things. I mean, if it took me almost 25 years of my life to come to terms with who I am, I expect it to take some time for the people around me to adjust to that also. So I don't expect them to accept me overnight or anything like that, and it hasn't happened. I mean, it's been working its way, it's getting more comfortable, but it's not something I expect to happen quickly.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think as long as the hatred towards gays continues to exist and people are going to be less and less apt to come to terms with their sexuality before they get married, especially if they are gay, because they're afraid to admit to their own sexuality.
Okay, yeah, and you wanted to talk about being in a marriage.
Yes, we get the impression here that the only problem in a marriage is the issue of sexuality. How many marriages break up for million of other reasons? And I know personally people that are in a marriage, and I know women that are married, and they have the happiest marriage they could ever have. And actually, the marriage improved after they came out to the spouses because they reached a certain amount of communication that were unable, on a certain level of intimacy, they were unable to do before.
So there's a degree of, that's what it's been.
And that's with the caller. It's what our mother failed to do.
Yeah. All right, we have to break. Let's hold on that line, and we'll be right back. We'll get right back. We were talking earlier about different options that may be available to save a marriage. For those of you who are in marital situations or in bisexual relationships, were any of those ever considered where there would be, for example, if with your wives you would be able to have a relationship with a man outside the marriage, or anything of that nature for anybody up there?
I was allowed to go out one night a week. She preferred me not to go with the same person twice. She didn't want me to get involved with anybody. And just to go out to a bar, just to meet somebody, that was fine. But if I had like almost like a second date, she was very uncomfortable with that.
Anybody else?
Well, I stayed in my marriage for a year after I told my wife, hoping that we could work something out and maintain the marriage. But it got to a point where anybody who called me, I mean, just a friend, a male friend that would call up, she'd get very hostile, and immediately we, had become an item. And it got to a point where it just was futile trying to maintain something, because another myth that a lot of people have is gay people don't have friends. We have friends. I mean, I have a lot of friends, and not everybody is a bed partner. And that again is something that a lot of people don't understand about homosexuality.
Woody, is it easier for a gay person to have a friend than a bisexual person?
You're asking me if it's easier for a gay person to have a friend?
Than a bisexual person?
I wouldn't know about someone who's gay. I can only speak from my own experiences. I am bisexual.
It's like asking a kid, what did it feel like to be adopted? If that's all they know, I understand that.
I've viewed myself as being bisexual for the past 18 years. I'm fortunate enough to have a very well-established network of friends, some of whom that go back 20 years. But that's been a lot of work for me, and I think this is a good point in time to bring out the fact that there is a organized bisexual community here in Boston, that people who view themselves as being bisexual, or even maybe questioning, may not use that label, have some resources that they can look to. And I think we need to point that out.
When we come back from the next break, we'll talk more specifically about that. And as always, that 787-7109 number is your opening to get into the resources through our People Are Talking office. You had a question?
Yes. Knowing your marriage would not last, I was wondering why you chose to have children and have them brought up in a broken home.
Well, I mean, the home's not broken. A family is not made on paper or destroyed by paper. We are still a family. We function as a family. We love and we care for each other as a family. And to me, that's what a family is about. Unfortunately, I felt in growing up that very often that my family stayed together on paper, but since there was nothing going on as far as communications, that we really didn't function as a family. And I feel like that's where that's changed a lot in my life.
I think, are you asking if those doubts were there, if that bringing the kids in, you talked about, well, our caller said she had thought about suicide at the age of 12. Was there ever thought, gee, if we have kids with all of these doubts, paper or not, it's going to be hell?
No. I don't think a child, if you love a child in its genuine love and you care and you're compassionate, I think they know that, and that your sexual preference is not going to make a child grow up screwed up. I grew up in a straight household. I was not straight, and I mean, I managed.
Okay, go ahead.
I think some of these charges about bisexual and gay deceit are coming from the idea that at the age of 19 or whatever age you enter into a marriage, your sexuality is clearly defined and mapped out and ready to roll for the rest of your life. To me, sexuality is a constantly evolving process, and many people I know...
My voice hadn't even fully changed at that point.
Really, many people come out at age 20, some people come out at 40, some people come out at 60. It's crazy. One of the difficulties with marriage is that, given that marriage is an institution established in a society that doesn't like to see people changing their sexual orientation or changing, or even looking at their sexuality in certain ways, it makes it difficult within that established structure to really develop personally. And I see that as a limitation of society, not as a fault or some kind of problem on the part of the person entering into the marriage.
Okay, all right, over here. Yeah. Go ahead, on the panel.
No, I also wanted to say what's getting intimated here is that most men who marry women who are gay or bisexual marry to hide their sexuality. And the research I've done and a lot of people have done throughout the country, that's not true with all the men. Lots of the men who marry because they're in love, they want a family, they want a heterosexual lifestyle, and a lot of the men who marry also tell their wives.
Okay.
In this society, it's assumed that you're heterosexual, and if you decide that you're otherwise, it takes a great deal of personal thought and looking at yourself, which many people don't do, and a lot of people don't get to that point of safety until they're in a relationship and have a chance to look within themselves as a course of the relationship. And I think to define yourself as bisexual, as I do, or to decide that you're gay takes a great deal of courage and self-knowledge, and a lot of people don't do that. And there isn't much safety in our society to look at that.
Okay, we have to break. You want to get in on this? We'll get you a chance right after this.
Long. So call now.
Yes, I want to address this to the gentleman sitting second to my left here. He's talking about a family being only on paper. I mean, and he's, you're not really looking at how much of a problem a separation or a divorce is. I mean, personally, I think divorce and separation is just a very, very unfortunate occurrence to the children. Okay, you don't have a family with just, you don't have a perfect family with just the mother being there and the father being somewhere off. Okay, I think if you really want to have a good family in the best family possible, you want to have both parents there. Okay, you don't want to be a father who you see the kids.
Okay, let him respond, because we were almost.
I mean, I believe family is made of love, whether it be blood family or not. I have family that is not, I mean, they didn't come from my parents. They weren't part of the Dias past. I mean, I have friends like Alan and like Joe that I consider my family. It's a family of love, and that's what my daughter's being brought up in, is a family of love. Many, many straight couples, many gay people, too, that have separated out of their marriages, never had the love to start, and so they can't express that to their child. That is not my idea of a family. Sticking it out for the sake of appearances is not my idea of a good family.
Well, but you were saying it's just as good. You're not being the father you can be by once a month taking your kid to the movies.
I take my child
You're being the best father you can be by being in the house all the time. If she has a problem...
Well, yeah, well, right. Obviously, there's a whole other show there, and it's about emotional reality over the symbols that you're talking about. No,
my daughter is very well cared for, and I am there for her always. And the reason why she is with her mother is that we felt that would be the best environment for her growing up.
All right, now we've got about 2 minutes left. For people who, prior to this show, weren't sure where to turn, we want to leave them with some resources. Again, the number to call for any of the resources is our number, 787-7109. Let's find out about a few. Go ahead.
Well, we have the Boston Bisexual Men's Network and the Boston Bisexual Women's Network. And these two groups together really represent an organized community here in Boston. And I think it's important to realize that there is a support network out there for people that are bisexual and questioning, for people who, like myself or Robin, have made that choice in their lives. And, earlier we were talking about establishing networks of friends, support, family systems. This is a resource that people can use. It's one I've relied on heavily myself. And I think it's important that people see that there is that choice.
In these meetings, are there any of the fractions that come up at any of the gay rights of the lesbian situation where you were being almost attacked, Robin, for being an admitted bisexual? Do some of the bisexual people have problems with each other depending on...
Absolutely. Bisexuals are not one kind of people. Bisexuals come in all shapes, sizes,
It's not like a Dylan concert. They walk in with lit candles and all just hum together.
No. I have people, when I walk into meetings, I'm an avowed monogamous person, and there are people who chuckle at me, and there are people I chuckle at, and we respect the differences. That's the thing that's different that's the thing that's special about the bisexual community, is I can have friends who are different from me and not be afraid of them, and who respect my right to choose what's best for me, and I respect their right to choose what's best for them. And I don't think that anyone knows what's right for everybody. I think that's very presumptuous to try to do that, to say this is good and this is bad. You can say this works for me and this works for you. And then you have to respect the difference.
Do you have a steady boyfriend now?
No, I don't have a steady boyfriend.
Have you ever?
I even lived with one.
Why is that important?
I'm just curious.
Just curious. Woody, go ahead.
Well, earlier this again came up in the studio audience, that we live in a society where differences are shunned. That it's as if we were all stamped out of a cookie mold, and of course it doesn't.